Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Here we share beginner-friendly coding tutorials on Scratch, Minecraft, web programming, and many more. Today, we are going to take a look at a fun Scratch game called Super Dad. Father's Day is a day of honoring fatherhood, and this special day falls on the month of June. Fathers are superheroes in disguise. So in this tutorial, we'll be creating a fun game in which a superhero dad has to avoid the aliens that block his path to home. The superhero dad will lose a life every time when he touches an alien. You'll get only 60 seconds to make sure that the superhero dad survives in the game. So let's get started. Alright, so I have opened up an empty Scratch project. So you can find Scratch on by heading on to scratch.mit.edu. And I have deleted my default cat sprite. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 backdrops. So one of these backdrop is going to be my title backdrop. The second one would be my game screen in which my game would be running. And the third one would be a losing screen in which it will pop up when I lost the game. That means if I touch my aliens and lost all my life, this screen would be popping up and the other background would be the winning screen. So if I manage to make my superhero dad to safely return home within the 60-minute time without losing any of my lives, then I would win the game. So I'm going to add my 4 backdrops, so you can choose any of the backdrops that you prefer. You can add in custom backdrops or use the backdrops that you can find on your Scratch library. So I'm going to choose 4 backdrops. So alright, now I'm going to rename all these backdrops into the backdrops that I have mentioned. So rename my backdrops would help me to identify which backdrops should I use while I code. Now I'm going to add my sprites. For this game, I need 6 sprites. 2 sprites would be the superhero dad, one is going to be the flying superhero dad, and the other one is going to be the superhero dad that welcomes your screen. Next would be 2 aliens, and the other one would be a button, which is called the play button, and the last one is the hearts. So I'm going to add my sprites. So from the library, I can find my heart, my alien. So I'm going to choose a nano, and I'm going to choose Terra. So these would be my aliens. And next I'm going to add my button. Alright, so next I'm going to add in my human sprite, which is the superhero dad. Now the superhero's dad sprite you can't find on the Scratch library. So what we have to do is we have to upload our own custom sprite. So I'm going to click on the cat icon and click on upload sprite. Now I'm going to upload the sprites which I have downloaded over the web. So you can find the link to download this sprite in the description box below. Alright, so here I have my superhero dad sprite. So one is the flying dad and the other one is a super dad. So I'll be using the super dad sprite first, which is going to welcome our player, and the flying dad will be used on the game. So now I need to adjust the sizes of some of these sprites. So for the heart, I'm going to place it up here and I'm going to give the size of 20. Now I'm going to change the size to 50 and also Terra. And I'm going to place them on the right corner. So I'm going to change the button a little bit. So I need to add the text called play. So I'm going to the costumes of the button and choose the editor to write a text called play. Alright, so I'm going to start now. So I'm going to the stage first and I'm going to drag in the event block. So when the green flag is clicked, I should start on my first screen, which is my title screen. When the green flag is clicked, I'm going to switch to the title screen. Next, I'm going to use a broadcast block which will tell all my sprites that the game has started and also will let my stage to be changed into my backdrop, the game screen. Alright, the message game start is broadcasted by the button play, but I'm going to do it on the stage first. So I'm going to drag in when I receive message one block and add in a new message called game start. Then I'm going to switch my backdrop to be game screen. So now I'm going to do what happens in the beginning. So I'm going to choose my sprites. So in the beginning, it's my play and my super dad should be shown. So I'm going to the super dad sprite and I'm going to drag when the green flag is clicked. I'm going to drag in the show block. I'm going to use the save block so that my super dad welcomes my player and maybe give a little bit of instructions on how to play the game. So I'm going to drag save block and alright, so what my super dad would be saying in the beginning would be, "Hi, I'm super dad. I'm flying back home after battle in Mars, but there are aliens blocking my path. Avoid hitting the aliens for 60 seconds. Press on the play button if you are ready. Good luck." So you can give any message that you like so that your super dad would speak out when the game is starting. Next, I'm going to do the play button. So when the green flag is clicked, I'll be showing the green button, the play button. And then I'm going to drag in the event block on when the sprite is clicked. Then it's going to send the message call or broadcast a message for game start. So I'm going to drag in the broadcast block and make sure that the game is game start. So once the button broadcasts the message for game start, the super dad should be hidden. Alright, so head to your super dad sprite and I'm going to drag in the block called when I receive game start. I'm going to hide. Alright, now let's head to your stage. Alright, and now once the game is on my game screen, I need to run my timer. So I'm going to set up a variable. So I'm going to make a variable that is called time. And I'm going to drag in the block called set time to be. So I'm going to give my game 60 seconds. Next, I need to make sure that my timer starts from 60 and start on reducing until it reaches to 0. So I'm going to drag in a forever block, drag in wait second. So every second it's going to change the value inside my time variable -1. And once the time is equal to 0, I should change my backdrop to be my winning screen. So I'm going to drag in a conditional, and to make my conditional statement I'm going to drag in an equals block. So what is going to be equal? So if the current value inside my time variable is equal to 0, so I'm going to drag time equal to 0, I'm going to broadcast a message. So I'm going to drag in broadcast, and the message would be win. Now once the message called win is broadcasted by the stage to the sprites and also to the stage itself, it should change its backdrop to the winning screen. Alright, so that's to win. What about losing? So same. So I'm going to drag in another when I receive block, and this time I'm going to change the new message to be game lost. Now this message is sent out by the hearts, but we'll be taking a look at it later. But on the stage, I'm going to make the message for when I receive game lost. The backdrop should be changed to the losing screen. And I need to make sure that all the sprites are stopped at when the screen changes to the losing screen or when you stop the game. So I'm going to go to control and drag in the stop all block. Alright, so this would be the code for my stage. Okay, so we have some other sprites that should be working. So I'm going to the super dad sprite. Now the super dad sprite is a sprite that welcomes you. So, and I'm going to make sure that the super dad is on the left corner a little bit so that it's not overlapping the play button. So in order to make sure that the super dad is on this place, I'm going to drag the go to X block and put it under my green flag. So another instance where the super dad would be shown would be when we lose the game or when we win the game. Alright, so I'm going to drag in my event blocks. So when I receive game slot, my super dad would be saying, alright, so on the game lost screen, the super dad is going to say, oh no, we lost. Click on the green flag to start the game again. But when the super dad hears or receives the message called win, he's going to say, we won. I reached home safely. Good job. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to design our two backdrops, the winning backdrop and the losing backdrop. So click on stage and go to backdrops. So on the losing screen, I would add my text call game over. And then on my winning screen, I would write the text you want. Alright, so next I need to hide my button, the play button, once it broadcasts the game start. So I'm going to looks and I'm going to drag in the block code hide. Alright, so now I'm going to build up my code for the main sprite in the game screen, which is the flying dad. So let's head to the flying dad now. Alright, so in the beginning, that means when the green flag is clicked, this sprite should be hidden. So I'm going to drag in the hide block. Alright, next, once I receive the game start message from the button, I need to show my flying dad on the left side of my screen. So I'm going to drag in the block on when I receive, make sure that the message is game start or the message that you get from the button. And I'm going to drag in go to X and Y. And next I'm going to drag in the show block. Now I'm going to use a costume change in my flying dad. It gives the effect that this sprite is actually flying. So if you go to the costumes, you can see that there is a slight movement or a slight change in the costume of your kid down here if you notice it. We like here. So I'm going to the code. Alright, so I'm going to drag in a forever block and I'm going to drag in next costume, and the costume would be changing every 0.2, 0.3. I'm going to go with 0.3. Alright, so next I'm going to code my key controls of my flying dad. So this would happen in my game screen. So I'm going to drag in the block called when the backdrop switches to game screen. I'm going to add in my keys. So to know which key that the player have used, so that is the up, down, left, and right arrow keys, I'm going to sense my keys. So I'm going to drag for a block and use conditionals to check if my player or if the user have clicked or pressed on a certain key. So if go to sensing and I'm going to drag in key up arrow. So when I click on my up arrow key, I should change my Y, the Y position. So I'm going to change Y by 10. So I'll just duplicate this block. And for the down arrow, I'll just make it to be -10 so that it comes down, because the Y coordinates are responsible for the up and down position. To make sure that the flying dad sprite can go forward or come backward, I'm going to use my left and right arrow keys. So again, I'm going to add in a conditional block, and my condition would be to sense the right arrow key. So for the left and right, it would be the X position. So I'm going to drag in the block called change X by 10. And for the right arrow, I'm going to make it -10. So right is going to be a +10, and then left would be -10. And then next, I'm going to drag in a conditional block Alright, so in this one, I'm going to add in the statement that if the Superman or if the flying dad sprite is touching either the Terra alien or the Nano alien, it's going to broadcast a message called Lost Life, which is going to be heard by the heart sprite. So I'm going to drag in operators and I'm going to drag in the O block. So it is either the touching the Terra or the Nano. So to sense whether I'm touching another sprite in Scratch, we do have a sensing block called touching mouse pointer. So I'm going to drag in one and put it inside the O block and change it to be Terra. And on the other side, I'm going to make it Nano. If so, next I'm going to make a variable which counts my number of lives. So I'm going to make a variable that is called lives. All right, and then I'm going to change the lives by -1. All right, so I'm not going to show my live variable on the screen, so I'm going to untick it. And then I'm going to broadcast a message called lost life. So drag in the broadcast message and make a new message called lost life. So this message is heard by your heart sprite. Next, I need to give in the last two events. For the flying dad, what happens when it changes the backdrop to the winning or the losing screen? So I'm not going to show my flying dad sprite because I'm already having another super dad sprite shown. So I'm going to drag in when the backdrop switches to losing screen. I'm going to hide and I'll just duplicate the same block and change the screen name to be winning. So in both losing and winning screen, I'm going to hide my flying dad. Alright, so I have to do a little bit of change for my super dad. So I need to show them first on the game loss. So when I receive game loss, I'm going to show so that it will pop up. Otherwise, it will not show because in the game start screen, I'm making it disappear. Again, for the win screen, I need to drag in show block. All right, so let's do our aliens now. So for the alien, all right, so I'm going to do for one, and then later on I can duplicate the same code for the next alien. So when the green flag is clicked, I should hide my alien. So I'm going to drag in when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to hide. Now the other backdrops where the alien would be hidden would be the winning screen and also the losing screen. So I'm going to drag in when the backdrop switches to losing screen, it's going to be hide, and also in the winning screen, it's going to be hidden. All right, so the only backdrop where you would see your alien would be the game screen. So I'm going to add the event when the backdrop switches to the game screen. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build a code in which it will spawn my aliens on the right side of the screen at different heights. So the height would be 150, the range to -150. And then it'll keep on moving towards the left side until it touches the flying dad sprite or the left edge of the screen. And then if the alien touches the flying dad, then it's going to hide. So then it can respawn back on the right side. So this action happens forever until the timer is equal to 0. So I'm going to drag a forever block and then drag a show block. So I need to make sure that the alien is being appeared on the game screen. And then I'm going to motion and grab a go to X and Y block. So the X is going to be same, but I'm going to change the Y to be a random number. So I'm going to set my range to be 150 to minus 150. So it's going to spawn my aliens at different Y position or different heights. Next, I'm going to drag another loop block, which is called repeat until. So on here, I'm going to set up my condition. So in order to do that, I'm going to drag in two O blocks and then go to sensing. So the things I need to sense is the flying dad and the edge. And then I'm going to drag in the move 10 steps block. Now if I kept it to be moved 10 steps, then it's going to go to the right side. But that's not what we want. We know we need to go to the left side. So in order to make sure that it goes to the left side, I'm going to give the minus symbol. So make it minus 10. And then I'm going to drag in an if statement. So here the condition would be if I touch flying dad, I'm going to hide. Now you might wonder, why do I have two touching flying dads? Can't I bring this hide block up here? Now the reason because repeat until is a loop. So if I bring my hide block up here, then it means that my alien would move 10 steps and hide. So it'll move only 10 steps. It will not go further than that because it's being hidden. So that's why I'm going to put them into statements or two code blocks. So one is going to be my loop. So it keeps on going 10 steps to the left side and until it reaches the flying dad or touches the edge. And if it touches the flying edge while it moves towards the left side, the alien is going to be hidden or disappear. All right, so I'm going to drag and drop the same code and put it into my other alien. All right, so now we are going to our last sprite, which is the hearts. All right, so in this game, I'm going to have 3 hearts. So right now I have only 1 heart, so I'm going to duplicate the sprite. So heart 2 and heart 3. So I'm going to rearrange so that heart 1 is going to be here, heart 2 here, and heart 3. Alright, so the first heart that would be lost in the game would be heart 3. Okay, so again, the hearts would be not shown in the beginning, so I'm going to drag. When the green flag is clicked, I'm going to hide. And next, when the backdrop switches to the game screen, it's going to set up my light variable to be 3. So set lives to be 3 because I have only 3 hearts. And then I'm going to set up my position of my third heart. So drag in, go to X and Y block, and then drag in the show block so that you can see your third heart. Next, to make sure that a heart is disappeared, it will get a message called lost life, which is from the flying dead once it touches an alien. So I'm going to drag in the event block called when I receive lost life. I'm going to check whether if my variable is changed. So in the flying dead, we have given the instructions that it would change the or reduce the value inside the lives variable. So if it is 2, so I'm going to drag and conditional block and check the lives variable. So if the life is 2, then I'm going to hide the third heart. Now the next heart that would be reduced after the third heart would be the second heart. So I'm going to the second heart and build the code. So in the beginning, as usual, it's hidden. So when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to drag in the hide block. And when it's on the game screen, I'm going to set up my position. So since this is the first heart that is going to be reduced, I don't need to set my variable back to 2 because it will be auto updated. So I'll just add in my position to go to X and Y and drag in the show block. All right, so once I've received the message called lost life, again, the player would, on the player code, it will reduce the or update your life variable value. So I need to check whether it is 1 because I already had 3 in the beginning, and if I lose 1, it's going to be 2. Now for the second hat, it's going to be 1. So if the value inside is going to be equal to 1, then it's going to hide so that I have only 1 heart left. Now the last one would be the first heart. Now I'm going to do some repetition of the code. So when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to hide. And when the backdrop switches to the game screen, I'm going to set the position, and I'm going to drag in the show block. And then lastly, if it receives the game lost life, and if the value inside it or inside the life variable is equal to 0, so 1 is here, so the last heart should be 0. So if life variable is equal to 0, I'm going to hide, and then I'm going to broadcast a message. So the last heart is responsible to broadcast a message to all the sprites and to the stage that the game is over. So I'm going to drag in, go to events. So we already made a broadcast message on the stage once we did the stage. So I'm going to drag in the broadcast message and put in the block code game lost. All right. So let's take a look at the codes and then we can start the game. So this would be the code for the stage. This would be the code for the play button. This would be the code for the flying dad. This would be the code for the alien, my nano alien, and the Terra alien. They all have the same code blocks. And this would be the code block for my flying dad, which is the main sprite in my game. And then my hearts, starting from heart 3, 3, 2, 1. So starting from heart 3, then heart 2, and finally the heart 1, the last heart. Alright, so we have completed our Scratch Super Dad game. So let's try it out. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this project. Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos. Also, check out these other two videos here while we are waiting for the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.